Hey, it's Jen. You're listening to Empath Woman Awaken. And in today's episode, I am so excited I get to talk about this because this is probably one of my favorite subjects. We are talking about how you discover if you are on your soul's journey, your life's purpose. Are you doing the work that you're being asked to do? How can you know? And what do you look for? What do you experience that gives you the confirmation that you are, in fact, on your soul's healing path? I'm so super excited that I get to chat and share this conversation with you that my friend Cindy and I had, who after 10 years worth of schooling was a professor at a university as a consultant and professor in psychology. So heavy in the sciences, didn't have a lot of religion, literally received a bump on the head and completely changed directions to follow her soul's healing journey. And she's here to share that message with you and how you can be on your path. And now, after more than 25 years in this line of work, she is also being awakened to her next soul's journey, where she was actually led to discover that she has breast cancer in a dream. And she shares all about her experiences and her divine guidance and how everything just simply unfolded for her once she surrendered to what she was being called to do. So enjoy today's podcast. This is Empath Woman Awaken podcast episode number 8. Welcome to the Empath Woman Awaken, the podcast that helps you uncover and realize your greatest potential. I'm your host and creator, Jennifer Lewis. After losing 82 pounds, I realized my greatest potential. Once insecure, afraid, and depressed, I now confidently embody my gifts, who I am, and what I feel called to do. I've built an international coaching practice and founded a federally recognized 501c3 nonprofit. I'm here to help you stop hiding and embody your greatest gifts so you too can unlock your greatest potential and achieve whatever it is you set your mind to achieve. This is Empath Woman Awaken. All right. Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for being here with us today. I just want to express my gratitude for you just taking the time and really just sharing your experience, your wisdom, and just your journey of how you got here. And if you wouldn't mind, I know your history, how you've gotten there, how amazing you are. But for those of the listeners that maybe don't quite know you, maybe you can introduce yourself and let us know who you are, how you got here, and your life's calling.
Yeah, sure. I'm also happy to be here because anytime I can talk about soul or healing, I'm there. I'm happy to do it. I didn't start off that way, though. I'm the child of 2 scientists.
Wow.
Yeah. I grew up in a very scientific household.
Wow.
My parents both had advanced degrees in science. That was my only reality. That was, we didn't have a religion or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting journey to get to this point. Yeah. But let's skip forward to, I got a PhD in psychology and was working as a professor and a consultant in psychology. But along the way, I got kind of interested in alternative healing and shamanism and stuff. It just seemed to really pull me in. And I went to a conference and there was a guy there speaking who was a shaman. And it was just, oh, okay, I'm going to go take a look at this. And I started studying Inca shamanism from Peru and studied that for many years, probably 10, 15 years. Wow. Thinking at first I was kind of doing an anthropological.
Interesting. More of the
investigation.
More of the, okay, this is okay with my parents.
Yes.
It's along the scholarly ways and learning. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe I'll write a paper on it, whatever.
Yes.
And along the way, I met a woman who was an anthropologist, who was studying trance channelers in Southern California. And I went along with her to one of these trance channeling experiences. Total skeptic sitting in the back. The woman goes into her trance and then she says, does anyone have a question? And I was just thinking to myself, well, if you're so great, then you know I've got a question. I don't have to raise my hand, you know. I was like, that's how skeptical I was, you know.
Yeah.
And she like went around the room with her eyes closed, boom, pointed straight at me. She said, you have a question?
Oh, how interesting. Oh my gosh. What did you
I don't know, maybe I do, you know. So there were a number of those kinds of experiences that told me, okay, this isn't an anthropological study. There's something more happening here. And that's really one of the first tricks to knowing where your soul is leading you. Is to pick up on these kind of cues from the nature. You find yourself attracted to this thing, then, you know, it's just like a supernatural, something happens there. You need to pay attention to that. You need to follow that. That paying attention to those cues is, I think, key to knowing what is your soul trying to lead you to.
Interesting.
And in shamanism, they taught, I thought, a most beautiful process for that, where you just kind of use the nature as your big manifesting machine out there, which it is.
Yeah.
And you go in with heart open and sacred intent, and you just start asking questions. And then you interpret everything that comes, everything that happens in the nature as if it's like a dream. I usually do this walking, and I do it a lot actually, but I go out walking and then I'm asking, okay, what's the point of today? Why can't I seem to get started into my day today? And a little squirrel maybe runs across, and then it runs back over again, then it runs across. Okay, because I'm too busy. That's what's going on. I'm just too busy. I'm not paying attention. Thank you, Mr. Squirrel, for telling me that. So if I slow down, you know, what should I focus on? And then maybe a bird lands on a tree and starts squawking at me or something. Oh, so I should talk about something I should talk about. Okay, all right. Well, if that's my focus for today, then, you know. So you just sort of keep walking through that in this beautiful way.
Right. With openness. That's what I'm hearing is being willing to open and willing to listen and slowing down enough. That's what I tend to recognize in a lot of our listeners, and just as a society, that we are so overwhelmed and so busy with so many things. We find ourselves missing so much because we're just in autopilot. We're just going through the motions. We're not paying attention to the cues, the synchronicities, the things that are trying to get our attention. And it's interesting you brought up nature, because I have to share this story.
Oh, good.
So snake medicine is very powerful, right? It's really like, hey, you need to shed this to move into the new. I kid you not, Cindy. I was sitting on the beach and all of a sudden I felt something hit my foot, and it was a snake, and it was a red racer, nothing poisonous, thankfully.
Good.
So then we come home from that trip, and then there was a rattlesnake on our back porch. Like within 2 days, 2 more days. Oh yes, I'm like,
warning.
I'm like, please, I see it. I don't need any more snakes. Then literally 2 more days go by, and then there was a king snake on her back porch. And then the next night I had a dream about snakes, and I'm like, okay, really? I get it. Please. I get it. I do not want any more snakes. I love you, snake medicine, but please, I'm good with the snakes. That one was like, you need to listen. You need to pay attention. It was so obvious. But most of the time, if we're not looking for it, we're not going to see it.
Well, we'll ignore it the first 3 times until it moves over the head. You know, no snakes bit you because you were paying attention.
Yes. You know? Oh, thankfully. Yes, exactly. And so I'm curious, how did you get into that state of mind to really understand, right? It took you many years of practice to be able to take that walk and be able to then recognize and listen to God, the universe, source, however people refer to. How do we get into that place when we're maybe just starting out and we're feeling like, okay, we're highly sensitive, we're picking up a lot of energies, we know there's something pulling us, but we're not quite sure what that looks like yet? Or like yourself, such a very scientific, no God, no spirituality. And then all of a sudden you find yourself really being drawn to that. And I imagine there was some fear in there, right? About, well, what are my parents going to think? And of course, we're adults at that time and we can make those decisions, but it still matters deeply to us. So can you take us back to that time for you and how you were able to shift into really noticing when the universe was leading you and guiding you and God was saying, hey, come with me. I want you to take this spiritual path. Can you kind of take us through that?
Yeah, I mean, just the parental piece, I just want to throw a little piece in there. 25 years into this journey, my father pulled me to the side and said, look, I don't mean to judge you, but what did I do wrong that you're a faith healer?
Wow.
and I told him, Dad, it's what you did right. You let us believe in what we needed to believe.
Yes. Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah, so, because this is an issue, you know, it's an issue. You are breaking, to do something like this, you are breaking, most of us are breaking with what we were taught, what our parents believe, and so on. So there I was, a scientist, albeit in the soft sciences of psychology. And I just started doing the shamanic work, which was very powerful for getting very deep experiences in nature, just like that exercise that I mentioned. And I began to see the synchronicities that way. And I began to realize, you know, it's almost a scientific method with experimentation that these things actually made a difference. They were important. They worked. I started taking the healing classes in that tradition. I realized that when I did the healing, I could feel something happening. People also who were receiving that healing felt something happening. But, you know, I still wasn't ready to give up a good paying job that I had spent 10 years of education, you know, to get. I mean, I was one of those who had to be head over the head. So don't do it that way. But
there are easier paths.
Yes. There are easier ways to do that. But I actually had a car accident and literally got hit in the head. And I couldn't think straight. You know, I couldn't even walk to the local video store. That's how long ago this was. There were video stores. I couldn't even walk to the local video store without getting lost on my way home. I mean, it was that profound, the head thing going on there. And I couldn't go back to work. I couldn't remember all this stuff you have to remember to be a professor.
Oh, wow.
You know? So I had to take a sabbatical. And on the sabbatical, the first thing I did was go to a shaman in California and do sweat lodge after sweat lodge after sweat lodge, you know, until finally I was just laying on the earth completely spent. And really sort of felt a message come through that as long as I continued to be a psychologist, that I would still have headaches. If I really wanted to be, they'd give me back my memory, you know, but I would still have headaches. So if I really wanted to not have this affect me for the rest of my life, I needed to choose something different. Okay, well then it's like, what, choose what, you know?
Right. What does that, what does that look like? Right.
And again, I was still shamanic at that time. So I did a shamanic ceremony to put myself into alignment with whatever was my highest work in the world.
Okay.
And I had 2 years earlier put little line ads in the back of New Age magazine, like a 2-line ad for distance healing, because it was one of the things I was experimenting with. Could I heal at a distance? And so on. So I just, you know, like free distance healing or whatever it was. I can't remember, you know, but I'd never gotten anybody to call me off of that in 2 years. Okay. So I do this ceremony, you know, to put myself in alignment with my highest work. And 2 different people called from those ads within 2 days.
Wow. It's like you set that intention and you just said, okay, I'm ready. Get out of my own way. It's almost like an energy shifted with you in that moment that maybe before you weren't quite in alignment, where then all of a sudden it was, and timing, right? Everything has the perfect timing and when it's supposed to happen and when we're fully prepared for it to become that healer once we've...
Right. And I think whatever is the highest alignment for your work in the world, whether it's being a healer or a teacher or whatever you do, even if you're a stockbroker, for some people that is the highest alignment.
Exactly.
But to put yourself, part of it is the willingness, it says. It's the surrender. It says,
I love that.
What comes to me after I do this ceremony, I will follow. You know, that's a huge surrender. You know,
it is.
I'm going to give up 10 years of my education and a good paycheck
That's
to do
yes.
whatever shows up to me. And I did follow through on being a healer then because of that. So this first piece is surrender. You have to be in complete surrender to that, ready to actually make that transition or that change. Then you set the intent for, I think, a soul reason, because what's the point if you're not getting on your soul journey? What journey are you on? We are not bodies that happen to have a soul. We are souls that just happen to have the luck of having a body at this moment.
Yes.
So you've got to allow your soul that chance to speak to you, your soul that chance to guide you. And so you ask for a high divine intent, like what's my highest work in the world, not what will pay the most, or, happiness is a good divine intent. Joy is a good divine intent. Service is a good divine intent.
Yes.
You set one of these beautiful divine intents.
Yes.
Then you add some energetic to that. And I really believe you have to add energy to the system to make that work. The particular shamanic process had its own version of that. But every religious discipline has a version of how to bring energy forward, whether that's meditation or prayer or gazing at a candle or being in the nature or doing particular ceremonies, whether that's in a church or in the nature or wherever it might be, drawing mandalas. They all have their own form of putting energy to intent. That's gas to flame, energy to intent.
That's the piece, right? You can say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. But if you don't have the right ideas and energy behind it that says, okay, well, what can I do that's going to get me the most clients? Well, that's not going to bring you. That's not going to have the right intent to do so. It's more, what is my soul's journey? What am I here to do? What is my highest calling? And then putting in yourself in a place, it's kind of what I'm hearing from you is, like you said, whatever you ask of me right now, I am going to do that. And then, it's not magic, obviously. It's just energy and universe and being supported when you make that decision and actually follow up with the action. So you've received that message that, hey, this is what I'm asking you to do. And then you go and do that. I imagine there were so many things that opened up for you when you said that, as you say, like, okay, here's my intent. And then you got these 2 calls. And then I'm curious, what happened after that for you when you said, okay, I'm surrendering? It's almost like you're just saying like, okay, but I don't know what to do. So can you please help me, guide me? Then what begins to happen after that? I'm curious what happened.
Let me go backwards a little bit and then I'll get to that one because I want to talk about what is this mechanism. There is a mechanism in you that is happening when we have the surrender, when we have the intent, the divine intent, and we have the energetic boost to that.
Okay.
You add the open heart to that. And then there's a conduit of energy in you.
Okay.
It actually starts in the womb chakra, which is a fascinating topic of its own, but we won't go into that.
Yes.
It starts in the womb chakra, which is part of where the soul resides. The soul also resides in the heart chakra. So you have this conduit of energy from the belly up through the heart. With the open heart, it starts to go up and hit the third eye.
Okay.
Which is your knowing, your hearing of your soul energetic. So you have this column of energy in you that you're basically opening through that practice.
Okay.
You're setting an intent. You're asking a question. You're basically, in many ways, asking your own soul that question.
Okay.
You're putting energy through that system to ask your own soul that question. So it's such a valuable process because then we know we're getting soul answers. It's easy to get a whole bunch of other kind of answers. And discernment is very important. But
that's for that life experience and knowing, okay, we can discern between what's kind of some noise and what is actual truth.
Yeah. If it has any kind of emotional component other than kind of divine blissy feeling, it's not your soul talking. Your soul always talks in divine bliss. Always.
Yes.
Always. Even if it's talking about the most difficult things, even if it's talking about the illness you've just gone through, or the breakup you've just gone through. When the soul answers, you'll feel the peace. You'll feel the bliss of it. That's the soul's answer.
Yeah, and I love how you answer that because often I find myself questioning, well, how do I know that this is really my soul or God speaking to me? How do I know it's not just my mind running away with me? Because our mind is so powerful, right? As you've studied for many years, it is
such a driving factor in what we do. And it's like, I call it master that mindset. So it gets out of the way so that what is actually being calling you forward, you can embody and follow through on versus all the noise. So
any personal desire, any emotion that's there.
Yeah, that's
other than bliss, it ain't it.
Okay.
And your mind might shove in 5 seconds after you have your bliss moment with your soul and say, oh, yes, but I don't think that's really it.
Start questioning
that. And was that really my fault? But go back to knowing the bliss moment.
Yeah.
It's so important.
My dad always said, Jenny, you've got to just trust your gut. That's what he would always say.
Right.
Just trust your gut. Just don't try to explain it away. Just trust your gut. And it's in that same moment.
It's that same concept.
It may not make any logical sense, but it's just a knowing and that peace, that bliss of just, okay, this is it. Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And then trusting it was really important. So that gets us to what do you do? What happens after you get this message?
Right.
Quit everything you've been before in your life that defined you. And you have 2 clients,
Yeah. No.
Two people called.
Yeah.
Off of some old ad.
Yes.
Well, fortunately, I was on sabbatical at the time. So I had some time to work with those clients, and they sent me more clients who sent me more clients. By the time I got off sabbatical, I had probably about a half full practice. And that's when you're following your soul's journey like that. That's what happens. Things just fall into alignment. And when they stop falling into alignment, you hit some block, some resistance in you, some way you went the wrong direction on it, something that needs to shift on your karmas. There's something there that needs to be dealt with when it's not just, just rolling out down the hill. So by the time I got back from sabbatical, I owed them, I can't remember whether it was 6 months or a year, but I did it.
Okay.
And then I moved out.
You just knew this was bye-bye.
I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I'm going to be a full-time healer. I went and lived on some property that my family owned so that I didn't have to pay a lot, to live. But within a year, I would say I had a full practice.
Wow.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done.
So beautiful. And my thought that comes up is there's this fear. Well, there's 2 thoughts that come up for me, actually. So one is the fear piece that says, how do I know I'm really a healer? How do I really know this is going to work for me? And then the second piece that is, as you speak of, when you're in this moment, everything just unfolds and it's a peace. It's a blissful thing. It's not daily grind and hours and putting in where you feel like you're working. As healers, it does not feel like work. And so there's a disconnect. I actually just had this phone call with a client that she says, well, I don't want to charge for my gift, but she wants to leave her work. This kind of disconnect that we shouldn't get paid for the work that we do, and the fear of like distance healing. Can I really do this? Is this real? So I think there's like this piece, but what are your thoughts on that
Okay, let me start with payment, and then we'll go back to how do I know? I happen to be in a belief system where they believe in the actions of Dattatreya, which is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. They're 3 energies of creation, maintenance, and destruction in the universe, which run the cycles of energy.
Okay.
And to get anything, you have to give something away.
Yes.
In order to have something come forward that's new, you have to go through this whole cycle. It has to be born, it has to be maintained, it has to die, it has to be given away.
Yes.
And then you can create something new. So if you're going to be a healer, what are you trying to do? You're trying to pull something through a creation cycle for that client. They've been stuck in this maintenance stage of something that happened in their childhood, and it's been creating everything in their reality. They're just stuck in this wheel of creation from that old state of maintaining this old wound.
Yes.
And you're trying to get that to die and then be reborn in a new state. To do that, they need to give something away. They need to let go something go. And not just let go what they're trying to let die, but let go a piece of energy. Again, it's a surrender aspect. It's a statement, this is valuable to me. It's a payment of karma even sometimes. So they do need to give you something for what you've done. You've given energy out. for them to receive that, you need to receive something back from them. There's a cycle of energy that's occurring there that's important to them really healing. Because if they don't pay something for that karma that you're trying to take there, the karma will just replay on them. You can't just, karma has to be paid somehow. So, no, you don't want to gouge people and have a sliding scale because so many people who really need healing can't afford that much. Yes, there has to be an exchange of energy.
And it even goes back to what originally you surrender, you set the intention, and you have to take the action, which money is just that energetic exchange of actually taking action to say yes and opening that heart to receive. So I see that. I see where it would be this full cycle of healing, of letting go of what's so important to you, to embody the new, to have this new experience as yourself, your true self, your soul self. Yes.
Yeah, you're really picking up on the parallels there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, charge. If you do healing, again, we go back to that divine intent issue. Because if you're doing healing because you need to make an X amount of money this month to cover the bills, which unfortunately we all do, if that's the intent sitting there, then you're not doing healing anymore.
No, you're not.
So it's a really delicate balance. On the one hand, there has to be this exchange. On the other hand, if you're at all focused on that monetary aspect of that exchange as the healer, you're going to go down pretty quickly because you're no longer staying in that conduit of divine energy flow, off into the world there in a strange way.
And I love that too, because there's so many, I think of the ways that we get in our own way as healers. That's what it feels like to me, is we're being called, and then it's almost like a right brain, left brain thing, right? Or the masculine and the feminine. And instead of just understanding there is a balance there, we somehow come out of balance and think, is this real? I'm thinking back to when we're just becoming, embodying who we are and the strengths and these gifts, and everybody has access to them. It's not necessarily just one thing for one person. We will each have our own unique way of producing that. But I'm just like feeling like, even when I think back on my own journey, I lost 82 pounds, so it was a weight loss for me. But there was a complete disconnect because I hated talking about weight loss. Because what I really wanted to do was heal the energies and the soul and the belief system as women and our value and our worth. And it's when I lead with that message and what I really feel and know. And it's interesting that you talk about this alignment, because when I know, it's like I put my hand on my belly, on my heart, and I just know, I just feel into that. And I'm thinking of that person that's just right on that cusp of she's ready to just take that forward step. How does she do that? Like you listed the ad, which took an investment at the time, right? It was probably a decent investment, and then sat there for 2 years and nothing. How does she not walk away and go, well, I guess I'm not meant to do this?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a block and I was it,
Yes.
And a car accident came and hit me on the head so that I would pay attention. Right. But did I know that in the moment? No, I did not. But but it became clearer over time.
Yeah.
But how do you know in the moment? That's a good question.
Yes.
Anything that takes you into that state of bliss is a soul thing. Anything that takes you, any doing that you have that ceases being a doing because you're out of time and out of space, and it just seems to be coming through you. You don't seem to be doing it. It seems to be doing you.
Yes.
That's a soul thing.
I love the way that you express that, because I think of that when I come out of coaching. I call it coaching. Obviously, we know it's deeper than that, but it's like this. I don't even know those words that came out of my mouth sometimes, where that came from. It just flows. And then there's just like this state of being. It's just this, it's giving me chills, because it's like there's almost no words you can really put into it. But I love how you said that, because you so eloquently just described it. And then it's almost as if time just stops and you're just in this space, and you come out of it and you don't feel drained. You feel like vibrant.
Expanded.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And that's how you know when you're in that calling and when you are being asked to serve. And I feel like instead of us getting stuck in our minds, you just have to decide and you do it. I have a client who she's like, well, I'm afraid to tell people what I'm capable of. And I say, well, you don't even have to say that. You just say, hey, I can support you and let me do this for free, because then you're also kind of building your muscle of knowing and trusting yourself as well and letting that divine work through you. Is that kind of how you got started? I mean, with your two clients?
I did charge those two clients.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Eventually. At first,
okay.
I think the ad said free.
Yes.
But there does have to be this exchange of energy.
Okay.
So at first I would say just give a donation to a charity.
Yes.
Do something good in the world with the intent that you're paying for this healing, Yes. But then after that, I thought, well, okay, if I'm going to really quit my job, I do have to have whatever they're giving come to me.
Yes. And that, I love that you bring it back to that, because when I first started, I wouldn't say that because I was pretty confident. At that point, I kind of knew there were a lot of eye-opening experiences. I had a near-death experience, which was a total freak accident. And it was during childbirth with my son. The doctors actually tore a uterus and I bled out. I lost 9 pints of blood. And they were, oh yes, I should not have made it. Everybody came into the room afterwards. I was in this interesting cocoon thing. And it was like, okay. And I'd had many experiences through life that were just hard, were like near death, car accident. I mean, just stuff after stuff. And when I finally made the leap and just knew I needed to do this, when I began to see those clients, it was like, I think I had maybe 3 that I did not charge. But then after that, it was like, no, this is something I just feel called. I need to be doing more of. And in order to do more of, I need to be able to charge and to advance our training, right? Because part of it is natural, but we do need to learn from teachers that have gone before us, who, such as yourself, who you've got 25 years, or that was then the 25 years. Do you have more than 25 years experience?
At least, yeah.
Yes. And so how much more that energetic exchange, saying, hey, here's this energetic exchange to you to then teach me. And it's that cycle, right? It's that give, receive before we got
cycle of energy.
The cycle of energy, yes.
Your story is super interesting. If we were in a healing session, we'd be going into that, baby. But I can say that many, many women who are called to do some kind of healing discipline, whether it's be a nurse or a psychiatrist or a doctor or a hands-on healer, have an unusual womb-related story.
Interesting.
So many of them have stories about sexual abuse as a child, or they may have an interesting story about their birth moment with their own mother, or their time in gestation in the womb, or they have a time during birthing that there's some sort of womb incident that occurs. And part of this, as I've seen it happen so many times over the 25 years, and sort of developed this, wow, there's a relationship here between those who are called to be healers, and they've all had these womb incidents. Every single one of these is some kind of initiation or transformation of the energy of the womb in some way.
Wow.
That is critical to their ultimately connecting into the divine feminine power that resides in their womb chakra.
Interesting.
So, in a strange way, it's also part of what led you. It's interesting you paired the story with, and then I had to go looking at what I wanted to do with my life, because it was a death to one energetic of that womb, but a rebirth of something else there. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a quintessential story of being called, in essence.
And it's interesting that you brought that up, because a lot of these women that I personally know as clients and colleagues and friends have some kind of sexual abuse, some kind of vulnerability experience as a woman that end up in this calling. So it's interesting to hear that connect. I did not know that. I just kept seeing a connection going, what is this? So it's interesting to know that. And it kind of leads me into, because I know that my listeners are listening going, okay, how can I learn more about Cindy's healing sessions and what she does? So I feel like we need to get that information, because I know they're wanting to know, because it's like, for me, I'm like, okay, I know you're getting ready to go through your own healing journey. And I do want to make sure that we give our listeners the opportunity to support you as you're going through that, because financially it can be a draining experience, right? So we want to be able to support you fully in your own healing journey. And I'll pass it over to you to be able to share your how can we support you in your healing journey? B, when the time comes, because I think you're getting ready to maybe take some time, or maybe you have some digital experiences that our listeners can go and have that healing experience with you. Yay. And then just tell us your experience, because it is a very eye-opening when we're open to allowing those messages to come through us. We're led to even amazing things in our bodies, right? So maybe you can share with us those things, because you're just amazing. We want to support you.
Let's not be secretive about my healing journey. I have breast cancer.
Yes.
And from the moment of even knowing there was something going on, it came through a dream. I was told to check my breast. The dream woke me up. I laid my hand on my breast and there was a lump.
Oh my goodness.
So from the very first moment of knowing anything was going on, I knew this was a divine process, guided by dreams, by my knowing, by whatever I had to do. That this was a divine process. There's never been any question in my mind that breast cancer is apparently part of my soul journey.
Right.
And I do need to take it. And I am being guided to take it. Because I would have never, unfortunately, and I'm suggesting everybody out there do self-exams. I wouldn't have examined myself, and I didn't feel bad. I was a little tired, but I didn't feel anything. I would have been taking vitamins, for a year until this was, pretty far along. So I knew instantly, okay, you're going to be all right, because whatever happens, your soul is going where it needs to go, and you're being guided in that journey. And I have been guided in that journey, and it is for a connection into the Divine Mother that I was asking for in prayer for several years before this event occurred. Now, take a lesson from me. I am that one who has to have the car accident or have the breast cancer.
Not the easy path, because maybe you won't pay attention. Yes.
Beside the hand to pay attention.
Yes.
You could have probably, maybe I could have done this easier. I don't know. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And of course, I live an extremely alternative lifestyle here. If I don't work for 2 months or 3 months in order to do spiritual healing on myself, to receive spiritual healing, bills don't get paid, So that's part of the reason I'm needing the support. That, and the other piece of an alternative lifestyle is you tend to not be able to pay for really good insurance. So I have pretty strange and insufficient insurance. What's interesting, though, is that that's a family karma, right? Because my parents, part of the way they showed love was money.
Oh, interesting.
Now, not that they were great, that they were hugely financially abundant, but it had a huge value. We're Scottish, and our ancestors had a huge value on being thrifty, a huge value on having your money make money, a huge value on managing your money appropriately. And if you did those things, you were a beloved child. Of course, I've done none of those things.
Yes.
Where did my father go wrong? As he asked. And I find myself in this situation where I've chosen an completely alternative lifestyle and little or no insurance and so on and so forth. And now it comes down to, how am I going to support my journey? So you see how it's bringing me a family karma to work through here. It's bringing this opportunity to trust the universe to just provide, which would have been a complete opposite of my family karma. Manage
you would have already
sense of it, say that, prepare for living, So first, when this came to me, I was beating myself up because I didn't do all those things my dad told me to do. Oh man, if I'd done all those things, if I'd kept my decent job, if I blah blah blah, if I'd done all of that, would I have been happy in my life?
Right.
Right. So this is my chance to go the next step in that karma, and just really say, okay, something else has to provide there.
Yeah. And I just,
You know?
that surrender, because in this experience, what are your options? It is surrender. It's in
It
that
is surrender.
place that where we can be met and filled with that love that I got you. It is that place.
And so the GoFundMe campaign, I personally
Yeah.
would have never put up because I was still inside the karma.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd never ask anybody else for money. And they sort of
yeah.
be self-sufficient. My friends put it up for me because they could see I was stuck in a karma and somebody was going to have to do something. So thank you, my dear, beautiful, divine friends.
Oh.
And the love from that started pouring in was intense. And of course, breast is about nurturance. It's on my left side. So that's the receiving of nurturance.
Yes.
So, I mean, dealt with so many issues to receive from other people.
Right.
That love and that support.
Yes.
It dealt with family karmas. It dealt with breast. It dealt with left side receiving. It dealt with, I mean, you see how these things, they all start to pack together as a
intertwine.
Journey.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then I got an oncologist whose wife is studying shamanism with my first shamanic teacher.
All these synchronicities that just my body's like chills all over just listening to this. Like,
yeah. So it's a guided journey. So they could support me on the GoFundMe site, but I also would love for people to take the classes that I have online.
Yes.
Because I would love for them to receive. I like that, exchange of energy thing. I would love to have them receive those teachings. And all you have to do is Google Divine Soul Learning.
Okay. And I will link
the site will pop up. Okay. Oh, good. If you put the links on there, that'll be helpful.
I'll link up on the iTunes show notes and then on my webpage as well, so they can find both your GoFund as well as, because I'm all about that. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm going to take this digital course because it's so powerful. So we'll definitely link up so they can do that. Yeah. Oh,
and then there's another course. It's the womb chakra, and it's online at divinelineage.org under courses. It's called the Holy Womb Chakra. That is a mega course, a major course.
Okay.
And then for free, I have my Blog Talk audio series on Blog Talk Radio. And so all you have to do is go to Divine Talk Radio.
Okay.
You can Google that, go to Divine Talk Radio, and you'll see the listing of episodes there. Mine are all called Soul Talk.
Soul Talk. Oh, I love that. It has been, I don't have a better word rather than refreshing, in that it's replenishing. That's the word that's coming up.
I love that.
It's replenishing. I love these interactions because they are so divine, in that if we all just work together and understand that energetic exchange and this alignment that takes place and the strength of energy, I think of, my shaman healer, right? She taught me this, how do you open your light body? And it's bringing up from the womb and up to your heart and out right? And
that same conduit is in shamanism too. They just call it the Cusco, and they have different names for it, but it's the same conduit.
Yes. And I just think if we could all the light shines brighter when we're together. And I see this healing of the feminine taking place, of instead of having the competition and being afraid that there's not going to be enough, the male energy of, no, it's mine. I have to prepare for
copyright it. And
yes, you have to do all this. And it's like, no, we can collectively be so much stronger together and just heal so much of our environment and our Mother Earth, and so much more healing can take place. So deep, deep gratitude to you for giving us your time and being here and sharing your wisdom and your experiences and your knowledge. And I have one more thought question for you, and then I won't keep any more of your time. What is one thing that you would like these budding healers, the bloom of the rose beginning to open, or the lotus, what is one thing that you would like them to just divinely know, work through you and hear to help them move forward?
You're a particle of God. You are an embodiment of the Divine Mother. everything that she is, every creation she ever created, that possibility is in you. Allow her to breathe you. Allow her to be your hands. Find that connection where you are already divine and be it.
Oh.
Because you are a divine soul and you are here on a mission from God.
Oh, yes. Sure. Oh, my body's like going crazy because I feel into so much and I'm just like chills. My body's like, yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that blessing and deep, deep gratitude. And I send you much love, much light, my healing energy to you and your experience and with your breast cancer and your next level of healing your soul. And I am grateful to know you.
I'm so grateful to have met you, and please keep doing your divine work. For sure, you are touching souls and changing lives.
Thank you. You too. And we will be just we're going to get this information out there for you. So, yes, because I'm like there is so much more.
Yeah.
So I look forward to just learning more and just sharing that wisdom that you have. And thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Bless you.
Thank you. Bless you too, Cindy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey there again, friend. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Empath Woman Awakened. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your aha moments and what really encouraged you to stop hiding and really impacted your life or that of your child's, and to where you felt more empowered to embody these gifts and truly share what's on your heart and what's on your mind, and to live just an authentic, amazing life, reaching your greatest potential. If you could leave that review over in iTunes, that would be amazing. And I also want to remind you that over on my website, missjenlewis.com/empath, I have a very special gift for you. It is a top 10 checklist. It's the top strategies that I use on myself, on my clients, and even on my children to really help them thrive in what sometimes feels like an overwhelming world, right? We're these highly sensitive beings. Our little children are these highly sensitive beings. We have big goals. We have big dreams. And maybe we feel stuck, or we just feel restricted by these negative energies that hold us back. And if you go over there and download that, and it's free, there's no upsell or none of that crazy stuff. It's just going to be a way to really just give you a checklist and how you can live your most amazing life using these gifts and unlocking your greatest potential to show up for your highest good. So go on over there, missjenlewis.com/empath. And until next time, y'all have an amazing day.